In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro denounced the manipulation of the extreme right with the youth of the world through false campaigns and accusations against the Venezuelan people. In Peru, military and police units have been on patrol since early Tuesday following the declaration of a state of emergency due to anti-government protests. The Israeli parliament approved a plan for total control over the West Bank despite the agreement with the Palestinian resistance Hamas. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Sophie Fernandez from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro denounced the manipulation of the extreme right with the youth of the world through false campaigns and accusations against the Venezuelan people. The Venezuelan president urged youth people to recognize themselves as the great generation that can transform the world without allowing themselves to be labeled by supremacist media as the so-called Generation Z. President Maduro also emphasized that Venezuela has a professional armed force equipped with more than 5,000 IGLAS systems, in addition to devices repaired and optimized by national specialists in anti-aircraft systems. On the other hand, the Venezuelan president emphasized that the armed forces coordinates operational and academic capabilities every day in order to provide citizens with national security and peace for the Venezuelan people.
Now the world's right-wing media has a campaign, so they call this beautiful youth Generation Z. I don't know where they got that from. Z must be from Zorro. In Venezuela, what they call Generation Z is called the genius generation because you are geniuses, guys, geniuses in science, culture, military, art, politics, leadership, geniuses in everything. It's the genius generation of Venezuela, and that genius generation shouldn't let itself be labeled by the media of the Western Empire, that Z, that H, that Q, who invented that, HRQ not HRQU. Here it's great because here our generation has education, values, family, community, high school, the right to study, and the right to life.
The Venezuelan president also stated that the world's right-wing use of social media as a tool to manipulate the world's youth.
The thing is that the world's right wing is accustomed to using social media to manipulate people. And they believe they can manipulate the world's youth through social media and do whatever they want with them. Now go out, now come in, now see, now shout, now sweat. Do you remember when TikTok was imposing the so-called viral challenges? Remember? When TikTok was responsible in Venezuela for the death of some 13 and 14-year-old boys 1 or 2 years ago. Remember? Did you forget it? No one should let themselves be manipulated by social media. You need critical thinking young people of Venezuela, students of Venezuela. Critical thinking in the face of those who want to impose strange things. Look at the disaster in the United States. Very painful. I always ask God to heal the souls of the youth and the people of the United States. The growing drug addiction, the violence, where anyone can get a rifle and go to a school, and bang, 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 kill a lot of people.
Also in Venezuela, from October 22nd to 24th, the Expo Forum for Productive Venezuela 2030 will be held to promote sustainable productivity in the country. The event will combine keynote speeches, business roundtables, networking meetings, and a trade show featuring more than 100 companies and 45 panelists with national and international experience. In this context, the Vice President of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, highlighted the economic growth of more than 8.5% that the nation experienced in the last months of the year, despite the constant threats that Venezuela faces. Rodriguez also addressed that production in the state-owned enterprise sector grew by almost 129%, while private production grew by 41%, emphasizing on the need to join efforts between the two sectors to guarantee Venezuela's economic security.
We have been growing for 18 consecutive quarters. Nothing has stopped us. Just imagine everything that has happened in 2021, 2022, 23, 24, and this year, how many actions seeking to disrupt the stability of the country, disrupt economic, political, and social tranquility, and Venezuela continues to stand tall. You continue to stand tall. No one has brought us to our knees. No one has undermined our capacity, our determination, our will to keep moving forward.
Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez also said that the Bolivarian nation experienced an economic growth of 8.71% during the first quarter of 2025.
There are those who think they can go around the world invading, destroying, looting, and sparing. That is not going to happen in Venezuela, and the answer that the so-called economic agents have given you, but you are really the economic actors in Venezuela, that is not going to happen in our country. That is not going to happen. What is happening is this economic miracle, where we show growth, where the third quarter of the economy, according to the official statistics of the Central Bank of Venezuela, already indicate an 8.71% growth and project 8.5% for the end of the year 2025. That is the truth, that nothing stops us. We are only focused on a single path, which is a productive Venezuela, projecting towards 2030, 2040, and 2050.
And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. In Peru, military and police units have been on patrol since early Tuesday, following the declaration of a state of emergency due to the anti-government protest. The interim government decision was made under the argument of stopping the presence of what it described as hitmen and mafia groups that allows the armed forces to support the national police. The measure affects about 10 million people, in addition to restricting rights such as freedom of assembly and the inviolability of the home. The protesters demand an end to the reform of the pension law, which has less than 2% of people's approval. This state of emergency comes in the context of the intense mobilizations that continue to develop in the Andean country in rejection of the government of José Herri. Moving to Argentina, financial tensions continue in the economic market just days before the midterm legislative elections. On Tuesday, the official dollar rates closed almost at its peak, generating financial tension and the central bank's intervention to contain the exchange rate tension. The situation has provoked concern among the population due to the Argentinian investors' expected move to protect their interests against possible adverse results from the policies of Javier Milei, who will seek to increase his party's presence in Congress on next Sunday's election. In other news, the United States claimed responsibility for a new attack on a vessel that was allegedly transporting drugs in the eastern Pacific Ocean. This attack is the eighth of its kind perpetrated by Washington forces in international waters, and the first to take place on the Pacific. On this occasion, the Department of War claimed to have killed two alleged terrorists, providing as the only evidence a video showing an empty boat just before it was hit by a projectile. On the other hand, this new aggression contradicts U.S. assertions about international drug trafficking routes, given that the White House had previously identified the Caribbean as the main drug route to North America, a statement that contradicts multiple reports from international organizations. For his part, Colombian President Gustavo Petro responded to a post made by the TV channel NTN24 that shares statements issued by the U.S. President Donald Trump against the Colombian leader and his country. On the same platform, President Petro stated, Regarding the slander that has been leveled against me in the United States by high-ranking officials, I will defend myself in court with U.S. lawyers in the U.S. justice system. I will always be against genocide and murders committed by those in power in the Caribbean. When our help is needed to fight drug trafficking, American society will have it. We will fight against drug traffickers with the states that want our help. In other news, Cuban Minister of Foreign Affairs Bruno Rodríguez Parrilla held a press conference before national and international media, where he referred to the aggressive foreign policy of the United States government against the island. The minister affirmed that, a few days before the United Nations General Assembly considers Cuba's report on the need to lift the blockade, it is necessary to denounce the campaign of misinformation and coercion unleashed by the United States to prevent international support for ending this unjust policy. In this regard, Bruno Rodríguez announced that the U.S. government made public several documents that use false rhetoric to accuse Cuba of being a threat to international peace. As demonstrated in the recent general debate to the United Nations General Assembly, the international community has spoken out about the violation of human rights constituted by the blockade.
Has rejected for decades, year after year.
Moving on to China, the Chinese government condemned on Wednesday the sale of U.S. weapons to the Chinese region of Taiwan. The spokesperson for the State Council's Taiwan Affairs Office, Xu Fengliang, reiterated that the Taiwan issue is an internal matter and that, as such, it will not tolerate any external interference. The Chinese representative criticized the U.S. government for treating the Chinese region as a pawn for its political and economic interests. He also declared that the regional government of Taiwan has wasted funds intended to improve the living conditions of its citizens. We have a second short break coming up. Before, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, but we'll be right back with more from the South. Don't go away. Welcome back. The Mexican government announced Wednesday the delivery of aid to families affected by the rains that hit the states of Hidalgo, Puebla, Veracruz, and Querétaro. According to President Claudia Sheinbaum, the families will receive 20,000 Mexican pesos worth of aid per home, with the possibility of additional assistance in cases of the total loss of their houses. The president informed that access to some of the affected communities had been partially restored, and that works are still underway for the recovery of all public services to the communities. Sheinbaum also said she will visit the state of Hidalgo on Saturday to supervise the recovery operations.
Directa. Se pone un módulo de los servidores de la nación.
It is a direct procedure. A unit from the nation's servants, from the Secretariat of Welfare, is established. After the assessment is done, the affected area in a municipality is then identified. For example, in the case of Alamo, the entire town was affected, while in Poza Rica, only about 1/3 of it was affected. When the affected area is identified, the public servants go with a form to conduct an assessment of damages, and the evaluation is complete. The families are given a tag with a number and the name of the head of the family. With that tag, they go to the welfare unit and are given the resources.
Con el nombre de la persona que es jefe o jefa de la familia. Entonces, con ese cintillo se va al módulo de bienestar.
They will be given a coupon for 1 or 2 food parcels and for household items. Then, after receiving their first support, they can go and collect their food parcel. So, as you can see, there are no intermediaries. No one could falsely claim to be a victim if they are not. It is a very dedicated effort that is being made, and at the same time, the delivery of resources is very fast.
Es un trabajo de mucha dedicación que se hace y al mismo tiempo muy expedito en la entrega de los recursos.
In other news, moving to Brazil, representatives of indigenous peoples and social organizations set sail in the Yacumama flotilla to attend the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP30 in Belém do Pará. The fleet set sail from the city of Coca in Ecuador to denounce the use of fossil fuels. These boats will cross the Andes to the Amazon and bring together more than 60 indigenous and territorial organizations and international allies. The delegations emphasize that this journey is an act of resistance and empowerment that links the climate crisis to its colonial and extractive roots. The Israeli parliament approved a plan for total control over the West Bank, despite the agreement with the Palestinian resistance Hamas. The measure taken by the Zionist regime aims to formalize total control over the Palestinian territories and consolidate military dominance in the enclave. Local lawyers and organizations describe the Israeli plan as a violation of international law and the principles of self-determination of the Palestinian people. While the Israeli army continues to confiscate the land and expand illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank, in addition to continuing the illegal detention of Palestinian citizens. Meanwhile, in Palestine, 54 unidentified civilian bodies handed over by Israel in the Gaza Strip have been buried. The Gaza Ministry of Health said that bodies are part of the 165 that Tel Aviv handed over to Gaza as part of the ceasefire agreement. Health officials claimed the deceased showed signs of torture. The burial took place after a funeral in the central city of Deir al-Balah. Relatives of those kidnapped by the Israeli expressed concern about not being able to identify the bodies, as they are returned without distinguishing features. In the Netherlands, the International Court of Justice warns that Israel is illegally using hunger as a weapon of conflict in the Gaza Strip. The International Court concluded that Israel, as the occupying power, is obliged to ensure the basic needs of the population of Gaza, including essential supplies for their survival. According to the court, measures to create settlements for Israeli forces and forcibly transfer a population are illegal actions, which Israel has continued to carry out during the 2 years of massacre in Gaza. The court concluded on Wednesday that the Palestinian territory is insufficiently supplied due to extreme crisis. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We're on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Sophie Fernandez. Thank you for watching.